your mindset has to be in a growth mindset, literally in a growth mindset. I had a job early in life, early 20s, honestly making more than I should have been making at that age.
Yeah.
And I spent as much as I made for the first couple years. You can ask for what we were in clubs. We had bottle service.
Clothes.
We had clothes every weekend. the biggest rims I could fit on the car. So. And then at the end of the year, it didn't matter because you go to your tax guy, he's like, oh, you made X amount of money. And I'm checking my account like, I ain't got a quarter that night.
If I call you bro, it means I love you, bro. That means I'll go to war with you.
Fire, baby.
The reason why you need to know your identity is because when you know who you are, people don't get to define it for you.
So when I tell you guys who you have in your circle is important.
You're listening to the Bros to Men podcast with Cameron Persad, Jeff T. Osborne, and Roy Rand.
What up,
Yo.
It's your boy, J.O., man. Welcome to the Bros to Men podcast. I've already introduced my name. Let me go ahead and throw it over to...
It's your boy, Roy Red, a.k.a. Dips.
Yeah, that's Cam, a.k.a. Killer.
Come on.
Now I'll take it back, Raquilla. Throwback nickname.
Hello.
Let's go, bro.
He has not taken any lives, just so y'all know that.
It is a nickname.
You know what I'm saying? It's a nickname. He kills it in everything he does. That's how he got it. But yo, hey, listen, I'm excited about this podcast. Fellas, I'm excited about this episode right now.
Yes,
in light of us trying to figure out what we were going to talk about, what this episode was going to represent, I think this one's going to be rich. I think this one's going to have a lot of different mindset. I think y'all going to love this one. And so we just going to jump on into it. So how we got this episode topic, Killer, you actually sent us, I mean, we're on your Instagram.
Right.
And in your story, you posted something from Uncle Primetime.
Yeah, shout out to Uncle Dion.
Hey,
Greatest
big,
ever
big
do
shout
it.
out to Uncle
best
Primetime.
ever.
Yeah, the GOAT. Yeah.
So he had some, and he talked about this. He says, in order for you to be successful in life, there are 3 buckets that every person must fill.
Yeah.
He said your fitness, your finance, and knowledge.
Hey.
3 buckets that everybody has to fill: your fitness, your finance, and your knowledge. And just on that alone, I want to pick your brains on that because, you know, if Uncle Primetime talking about it, you know, people listen now. You know what I'm saying? When he talking that real wisdom.
Absolutely.
And then you look at his life, he's got evidence of it. So I just want to, we're going to dive into this one. We're going to open up as, you know, we raw, we real, nothing scripted. We throw the topic out there. Right.
Pop the trunk.
And it's Pop the Trunk production, right?
That's right.
And so we're going to hop into it. So we're going to talk about the 3 of them. Okay. And so we're just going to go right into it right now. So when he talked about 3 buckets that you got to fill, that means it's got to be overflowing. Or when you talk about filling a bucket, you know, it has so many different topics, so many different meanings. So I'm going to throw it to you first, Dips. When he talks about the first bucket, let's talk about the first bucket of fitness. Because I think we all know, like, out of this whole group, Dips is the fitness guy out of all of us getting us right. Yeah. And so, man, why don't we talk about that, bro? So how does that play into your life?
Man, mindset. The mind is connected to the body, and the fastest way to change your emotions, change your feelings, change your life is to change your physicality, right? You know, the lady did the TED Talk on power poses. If you smile and just keep your chin high, you have no other option but to feel happy. And so working out and staying fit changes your mindset physically. You just feel confident. You feel like you could take over the world. You have more energy, you know, to go scientifically, more dopamines, the more serotonins, the endorphins, all of that good stuff. And it's just something that when you work out and people see you, they automatically know what you're about right off the bat, right? They know I'm a disciplined person.
Right.
And since they know I'm a disciplined person, they know if they could get me on their team and get me to trust them, then I'm going to be an asset, not a liability. And so right off top, they say, oh, he's an asset in my life without even talking to me, without even anything. This guy's an asset. I respect him because he respects himself, obviously, because he can control his time.
Yeah.
He can control what he puts in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he can control weight.
Right.
And so out of those 3 buckets, fitness, is my favorite, and it's the bucket that's the most high. But like we talked about, all buckets are connected. So we're gonna talk about how those connect.
Dibs, let me ask you this real quick, man, because without discipline, there is no fitness.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like, as we've mentioned before, we come from this generation. Everyone want that quick fix.
Yeah.
If I don't see results in 15 days, man, I'm out. I'm firing the trainer. I want my refund. You promised me abs. It's been 8 days. I ain't seeing nothing.
He got no abs.
You know what I mean? So, with that in mind, how does someone create that discipline? Because it's day in and day out without seeing immediate results, right? There's no immediate gratification to it.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that go into the fitness bucket, right? We're talking diet. We're talking adequate sleep. You know what I mean? We're talking about the right regimens for your body type.
And mind you, we talking like he said, you got to fill your buckets. So help
sprinkle a little something.
You can't sprinkle. You ain't sprinkling fitness every couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he says, you got to fill it. So it means there got to be a consistency.
You're not going to the gym one day a week. You know, walking around at 5% body fat.
Nope.
So for the person that's at home right now on the couch, like, dang, I don't look like that dude, but I don't even know where to start. You know?
So if you think about the buckets, anything you ask in God's name, he gives you in abundance.
Ooh, say it again.
And I learned this from Jeff. If you ask God for $1 and he gives you $2, he gave you abundance, right? So you have to so you have to first get that vision of what that bucket looks like.
Say it again, man. Yes, sir.
And you're not going to get inspired. Grant Cardone says it's easier to 10x than it is to 2x because of the inspiration that comes with 10x. So if you just like, I just want to lose like 10 pounds and just lean up a little bit, God's going to give you that, but you're not going to really, you can hit it 1 time a week and you can hit those goals, but it's not going to really inspire you. And God's going to be like, all right, here's a little bit of, you lost a little bit of weight. But then when you go in the mirror, you're like, I still don't like how I look. You know, on the scale, I did lose the weight. God gave you what you wanted. So you got to define that bucket. You need something that's going to really inspire you. Maybe that's get back to my high school weight, bench 300.
Right.
It's got to be something to really make you want to get up and get after it every single day. And when that inspires you, you don't need to push yourself. You're pulled by that goal. You're pulled by that vision. It pulls you into action every single day. And then, nobody wants to be incongruent with what they create. So if I say I want to be 6% body fat, it makes me feel bad when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do to get 6% body fat. And nobody wants to feel that feeling. This is why they don't speak the goals out loud, because they like, then my butt's gonna be on the line for that goal. And so just put your butt on the line. Anything you're willing to put your butt on the line for, you can have. So create that vision and allow that. I know they say stay in the process and respect the process, but it's the vision of achieving that end goal that gets you through that motivates you through the process every single day, day in and day out.
Okay, so I remember when you first started your fitness journey, dog. Like we gonna talk about, because if you look at your page, bruh, and y'all look at his page, like my man's lifting cars with his big toe, like my dude, like, he doing all these like muscle ups and one arm, like action figure, status, GI Joe status. And I remember like we were in high school, and I'll never forget we was at the pool at mom's house, right? And so I remember this when you had a bird chest, bro. Like you had, dog, you was like, your chest was like inverted. Like, I was like, gee.
Inverted.
But this is the time where we were in high school, so we get into creatine. So at that point, Cam was the biggest out of all of us, just swole. Like, so he started getting on it. So then I was playing football, and so I had a little bit of cuts, but I was still on the smaller side. And Dips, you were the smallest dude. And I remember like going in the jacuzzi. And before I went into the jacuzzi, your boy like on hitting pumps, like, you know what I'm saying, like push-ups.
Making a pump real
before
quick.
before I go out there, so I don't look like, you know what I'm saying, like I'm sideways. I remember we used to clown you all the time, and then all of a sudden, like, bro, you went into like, I don't know where you went, bro.
My man went to hibernation.
Like, my man went into hibernation. Every time I saw you, you had like sweaters on. It's like 100 degrees outside. Like, and I'm like, okay, he drive around like them cars. You know those cars that they ain't dropped yet? You see people driving them on the street that got like the covering around it, so you don't see what the real car, like the prototype. You walking around with a prototype sweater on, right? And we trying to figure out like, yo, what's he doing? And then all of a sudden, like you came out the shirt one day, and bro, you had me feeling some type of way, like pause, like you know what I'm saying, like you had me like, dog, and you know the dude who be like, yo, bro, man, so excited for you, fam, like, dang, look at you, bro. In the back of your head, you like, man,
right,
like how we you start trying to flex, like tell yourself,
What's good? I'm out here.
So I remember that moment where you went from the dude being clowned on to the dude everybody was asking, how did you do it?
How did you do it? Yeah.
Because there had to be a switch for you personally.
Yeah.
For you, because you're the most consistent dude. Like right before we all like, yo, we meeting up at Starbucks before, you know what I'm saying? Like we meeting up before we hit the studio. Cool, man. I'ma head straight over there right after I get done with this gym set. Last time we left a little bit later. Where you going, man? We gonna go over here. Nah, man, I'm going to the gym right now. So what shifted for you personally, bro, where you went from that? Because the reality is you convicted the mess out of me, number one. But I'll let you answer, but I remember this statement. Kevin Gates said something, because you know he been on this fitness journey, and I was flipping through, and he said something like, whether you agree with it or not, I don't know, y'all can leave your comments and let me know. But he was like, you know, the reason why I got in shape is because people start thinking that they can get over on you and take advantage of you because you got over on yourself. Like,
that's bars.
Like he said when I was overweight, people saw how I was taking care of my body. People saw how I was living. They're like, yo, you getting over on yourself because
like if you don't take yourself serious, how others gonna take you serious?
So he was like, yo, you thought you can get over on me because I was getting over on myself. So like with that thought, bro, like what shifted for you? That was for Kevin Gates and where he was at, and that rocked me to my core.
Yeah, that's
I was like 2 months ago or something like that. I saw that. That's when your boy was in the gym. Like I was just going ham. But what was that for you, bro?
So it's a few things. One, feedback. I think feedback is great. You know, there's all this bully talk and not roasting. I think that's all good because now I see that, I feel it, I accept it. Like, dang, I do got a bird chest, dog. You know what I'm saying? But you know, one time my mom gave me this haircut. It was a bowl cut. She literally started like a bowl, and she was like, "No, I got you. We ain't even gotta go."
Mom, did you like that?
Mom did me dirty. She was like, "We ain't even gotta go to the barbershop. I got you." And then she threw the curl on top, so I had the curl with the shade. And I was like, "Hey, y'all, I'm
about to Fat Albert."
I was like, "Yo, I'm about to hit him out. I'm about to hit him." Yeah. And I walked outside, and my bro Wanzer said, "Aha! He got a bone!" I saw Wanzer, instant feedback when the house cut my head bald.
Shaved everything off.
That's love. He loved me, bro. He told me what I needed. If I would have went to school, it would have been over. Hey, so shout out to Wanzer for letting me know. And shout out to my brothers who like, hey, that burn chest.
Yeah, hey, you need honest friends.
So it's like, hey, I got a bird chest. Cool, I got a bird chest. Yeah, I am. So now what can I do? Read. Start working out, and then also I had people to go to the gym with. Me and Cam started hitting the gym every day. And Cam swole, you know what I'm saying? Cam, I couldn't even bench the bar at first. Cam, 2 plates already. I'm like, and you know, in my head, I'm like, man, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to do plates. 2 plates.
Yeah.
And then after 2 months, 3 months, and there's just something about when you're working out, like Kanye says, you ever been in the shadow of a giant? At some point, you come out the shadows and you match what that giant is doing. Cam had 22s.
Right.
Cam had 22s. My thigh wasn't a 22.
Man.
His arm's bigger than my thigh, so I had to figure it out. So then I matched the strength with Cam, but the muscle didn't come. And like Lil Wayne said in one of his lines, he says, "I've been had the strength. I just got the muscle." And so the strength came, and then I just stuck with it. I had good peers, you know. We used to all we did was lift weights, eat honey buns, and drink Slurpees every day.
Man, and them chicken sandwiches from Carl's Jr.
It was like, hey, can we get jalapenos on the side with the little sauce?
Man, when you got $7 in your pocket, we go get some 99-cent chicken sandwiches. We go to the grocery store, get a Tampico.
Yo, bro, hey, the Tampico, or you, if you weren't about Carl's Jr., you go to a Jack in the Box and get them 2 tacos for 99 cents.
Superior.
Yes,
man. But that was what switched for me, and it just at some point it starts to feel so good, then you get good feedback, and you love that good feedback, and then you just never stop.
Okay, so let me ask this, because I know, Cam, you had your health scare. If you guys haven't seen it, you'll hear more about it if you go back to episode, I think 2.
Yeah,
We
check
talked
out
about
episode
that.
2 for sure.
Episode 2 about where you at in the health scare that you had. So going into fitness and having your fitness be full. Dips talk about mindset, serotonin being released, dopamine being released. Being able to get started, that positive feedback. For you were on the opposite spectrum where your body wasn't working right. So you couldn't be like, you were trying to tell your mind, like, get in shape. So what did that? So you go from somebody who had the energy, had the strength, just wasn't maximizing the muscle until you got it. And you had somebody who didn't even have the opportunity. And your body was feeling. How does that play in? And where you at now with that, bro, when it comes to fitness?
You know what, man? It's crazy because one thing I've learned about when you've done something before and you've reached those results, you now have a blueprint for it.
Yeah.
So there's something, I'm going to almost go, there's something that is amazingly confident about achieving something, losing it, but having the confidence you can get it back. And that's what is so powerful about reaching your goals. And if anything in life, man, like that's what motivates the mess out of me, bro. Because I had this job one time that I loved and I lost it. When I tell you when I cried like a baby because I felt everything I worked for was gone and I have to go start over somewhere else. Well, obviously I bounced back in due time, right? So what do you think happened when I lost a second job? I've been here before, right? I've been here before. I already know what it feels like to lose everything. So I got to put my head down, find the right opportunity, and go get it back. So very similar when I went through my health challenges. And I think what's interesting is when you face these struggles, I just realized this recently. So what I think is that when you go through something, in my opinion, that's God seeing how much you can handle.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because we're constantly praying for abundance, right?
Right.
So it's almost like in my mind, I'm like, how can God bless you with something that's bigger than your wildest dreams if you can't be tested and challenged along the way to see if you can handle increments of getting to where you're supposed to be? So to answer your question, you're right. Going through kidney disease, you're very limited to amounts of protein that you can intake. We all know coming to put on muscle, be slamming protein shakes. I couldn't drink any of that stuff. Because they have you on very restricted amounts because the way the body works is when you intake that protein, that kidney's breaking it down. And it wasn't happening. So what happened was I had to find some way to get stronger in other areas. And we talked about this, I think it was episode 2 as well, that I think one of the most challenging things for men is that you don't look the way you feel you ought to look. You know, and like you guys mentioned, really all three of us, Roy and I were on this health journey where we were just like putting on muscle and we were eating and we're putting 10 pounds on, 15 pounds. All of a sudden I'm buying bigger shirts because my old ones don't fit anymore. And then all of a sudden, dude, I couldn't even lift a 20-pound dumbbell. I'm in the mirror and I'm like, I can't do it. And it's just because the muscles were so fatigued and I just couldn't put the muscle on. So what I did was in those 6 years is I had to put my attention and my energy and my focus into something else. And I built this. And I built this because I knew my prayer was, God, I know I'm going through this for a reason. And you put this mountain in front of me, I'm going to move it. And my slogan throughout my whole sickness, when you guys bought the fundraiser shirts, it says moving mountains.
Yes,
the book that's on the way is moving mountains.
Yes, sir.
And it's because I knew on the other side of that mountain was what was meant for me. So to answer your question, bro, it was challenging. It was probably the most challenging thing I've ever gone through in my life, by far, hands down. And not just the side of not feeling well, but the side of not looking the way you used to look, right? You look at these old pictures, and they're constantly Facebook memories popping up. You're like,
I don't even look like that.
I don't even look like that anymore. Who is that person? So my answer would be that you got to put that attention elsewhere because it's my personal belief that if you can build one thing, you can build anything.
Can I ask a question real quick? Because I just want you to touch on this really quick because you went through that, but I don't know the percentage, maybe you do, but a lot of people who have kidney disease, then they find a kidney aren't ready for their kidney because you got to stay in a certain amount of shape.
You do.
Like you got to work out, like do bands. I remember you like grabbed a
I
bike.
had resistance bands. I was cycling my
So you
butt
were
off.
still working out. how did you lock in during dialysis, doing no energy at times? How did you lock in on that? Staying ready, because you were still filling that bucket just in a different way.
Because I wasn't focusing on what was in front of me. I was focused on the end result. And when I was going and seeing these doctors that were telling me your heart needs to be in tip-top shape because you're going through some serious anesthesia. Your body is getting beat up on these dialysis machines. When you get this surgery, the only way to have an effective recovery, and you can probably touch on this because you worked in hospitals for a while in the medical field, people who are overweight, people who are obese, people who have heart conditions, they don't do well in recovery. And it's a fact that anyone who's in good physical shape, if you're lean, if you're healthy, you can go have any type of major illness, any type of major surgery,
bounce back.
You're going to bounce back much quicker. So I was doing 20, 25, 30 miles on the bike. I was cycling from Ontario to San Bernardino twice a week because the doctor told me when you go under the knife, your body's going to be going through that equivalent stress. So I knew I couldn't lift the weights. I didn't have the physical strength or mass to lift the weights, but I knew I had to find something to put my body under stress so that it wouldn't be introduced to that level of stress under the knife for the first time. I was cycling. I was going to the gym doing elliptical. You guys remember how small I was, and that's because I wasn't lifting.
Did you want to, like, in those moments, bro, you got to, like, so when I was lifting weights, my biggest thing was at one moment I was big, had my heart attack.
Right.
Out of nowhere.
Right.
I couldn't even, I was scared if I did a push-up, my heart was going to burst, right? So I lost all the muscle that I had built up. And just knowing where you, like you said, where you used to be to where you were now, you like, man, being so depressed in that moment, like, man, I ain't even there. When you're riding and you're thinking about your shirts all baggy on you, you know you're the biggest out of all of us. Swole.
Now I'm the smallest.
Yeah, now you're the smallest. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, and that's not the image that you want to see. You're having a ride, and you're not even seeing the results of that. You're not seeing your kid. You don't even have a date for when you're going to have your transplant, and yet you're still out there putting the work in. In those moments where you wanted to quit, I know you said that you were working on your end result, but bro, like, did you have those moments where you just want to get off the bike, call moms up like, yo, pick me up, I can't do this? Did you have moments where you were crying on the bike? Like,
man, one time I took off for San Bernardino, it was a hot day like this. It was an evening. I took off from downtown Upland. I got to like the Rialto area. Pedaling. I hear flat tire in the back, bro.
in Rialto.
On the side of the railroad track, stuck by myself. When I tell you I had a moment, I threw the bike down. I bawled my eyes out for like 20 minutes. A good 20 minutes. I picked my bike up like this, and I carried it to the border of Fontana, the foothill and baseline. And I called my boy. He's like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. He came and picked me up in his truck. I cried all the way till I got home. I didn't ride my bike for 2 days. And I was cycling 4 days a week consistently. 2 days later, I was looking at some fitness posts on Instagram because you got to find things that inspire you. Yeah. So aside from just my friends, like this dude posts 5 shirtless selfies a week.
Every day.
If he ain't enough for you, right? And what's bro's name? The Navy SEAL. Goggins. I saw a video by Goggins where he was just like, I'm not gonna use the words he used, but you know Goggins, he keeps it real.
Stay hard.
Stay hard. Yeah. But the gist of that message was like, whatever you're going through, if you don't get over it and get back, what you went through won. If it sidelined you, it beat you. So it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I went outside. I changed the tube on that tire, and I got back on the bike.
Come on, man.
And that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So you can't think that you're gonna have this easy path to anything that's worth keeping. You know, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And when we talk about being physical fit, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that the buffest guy in the room is the most fit. Let's define fitness.
Yeah, that's big.
So everyone has these different opinions. So to me, it means two things, honestly. It's not how buff you are. It's not the 22-inch arms.
Right.
It's not the chest sticking out to here. Right. It means you have strength and you can perform.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. You can perform. So I knew I was no longer the biggest person in the room. I knew my large shirts were swimming on me, but I was training for performance at that point. I knew that I wasn't the buff guy anymore, and people were like, what happened to Cam? Why do so small, right? I was hearing all kind of stuff. Oh, he must have been on steroids. Look how small he got. I was hearing it all, right? But I knew that when it came time to have to perform, my body was going to have to perform to an optimum level to receive that end result. I was ready. So even like Roy said, before he got the muscle, he was hitting the same way I was hitting.
Strength.
Half the body weight.
Yeah.
The strength was there.
Even now. You lifting stuff, dog.
Even now. So what's crazy is, and in case y'all don't know this, half the time the buffest dude in the gym is not the strongest dude in the gym. And I can guarantee you he's probably not the healthiest guy in the gym either. So
boy,
there's a lot of myths you got to clean up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it back to you because you're by far the expert amongst our team when it comes to this type of stuff. There's so many myths out there. We're the diet fad generation.
Yeah.
Is it keto? Is it paleo?
Yeah, paleo. Are you vegan? Are you carnivore?
Yeah.
Are you pescatarian? Whatever you are. How do you? Because I know your boy. Hey, so y'all know I was vegan for almost 7 years. Plant-based for another 2.5, vegetarian, and just as like 3 months ago, your boy just started eating it. I remember you and I got into debates that he like, dog, you ain't gonna put no muscle on because you ain't eating no meat. I was like, bro, what you mean? Like, so we gonna look at the gorilla. Look how big the gorilla is. Like, you gonna tell me? And he was like, dog, you ain't gonna do it. You just and so we used to get into that. You're right, man. So yeah, like clear that up, man. Like, how do you? Because it's not just working out, and then we get into the other buckets, but it's not just working out. I think you told me like, dude, your diet is how much percentage of what?
What do you need to focus on?
Actually, the diet is like the fourth thing. So you can go 30 days or longer without food, but how long can you go without water? A couple days. How long can you go without sleep? A week, maybe a little less. How long can you go without breathing? And so there's a hierarchy of needs. Breathing's first. A lot of people don't even breathe properly. Do you breathe like a baby where your belly goes up and down? Or are you chest breathing, short breathing? So it goes breathing, water, sleep. Abs aren't made in the kitchen. Abs are made when you're resting. And it doesn't mean...
That's a myth buster right there, G.
How often we about the kitchen, right?
Because that sounds sexy. Like, I'm in the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen like, I'm finna get an 8-pack right now.
Yeah, right.
So it's made when you're sleeping.
It's made when you're sleeping and when you're relaxing. And a lot of people can't relax well. A lot of people really can't relax well. So it's not how long you relax, it's how well you recover, like you talked about when you're in shape. And so I think you should eat based on what you're doing. I had a girl who's almost as strong as us, does CrossFit. She took care of her niece for a weekend and was like, I'm sore. I don't know why I'm sore. Something's wrong. And I was like, well, what'd you do? She was like, I was just taking care of my niece. And I was like, oh, you're sore because you were carrying your niece, taking care of your niece. She was like, I do CrossFit. I said, different kind of strength. It's different. It's different kind of movements. And so we can't be everything. I think you should focus on and work out to tailor to what you want to do, what outcome you want in life and whatever that is. If you might need a little more cardio if you're doing this, you might need more strength if you're doing this. And then there's this whole genre called elasticity, to where you kind of stay in the middle. And then if I have to, I can get big. If I have to, I can get small. But it's performance. And in order to perform, you got to have an outcome. So I think we should eat and work out and congruent to what we need to do to perform for what we're doing in life.
So you can't be the marathon runner trying to do the bodybuilders.
Exactly.
workout.
Well, it was crazy, bro, because like I ain't gonna weigh my food.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody say, dog.
Me neither. I'm not
I
macro
ain't gonna
counting
get no
ever.
scale out. I'm not macro, micro, nutrient. I'm none of that. So I called you. I was like, yo, Dips, I need some. Make it real simple. 30 and 30. I was like, okay, 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of carb. 30 grams of protein, any meat, it's about the size of your palm of your hand. 30 grams of carbs is about 1 cup. So if it's oatmeal, it's 1 cup. If it's rice, it's 1 cup. I was like, bet, I can do that.
Veggies unlimited.
Veggies unlimited.
As much as you want.
Well, as much as you want. And so I did it, and your boy started dropping. But I think you said performance because yesterday, like they had a father-son like soccer match. Like so, my son plays elite soccer, so I get out there. Shout
out to the nephew, man. He killing it right now. Yeah, go ahead, Coco.
So I'm like, yo, man, okay, I'm gonna get out there. So whether we in shape or not, we gonna talk trash. It's our God-given right.
That part.
To talk trash.
I'm gonna talk trash no matter what. I know you're gonna demolish me, but I'm still gonna talk some trash.
I'm gonna be in your head about it, though.
I'm gonna be. So my son's, he out there. He's the number one scorer out there. He's the fastest. He's the, so he's the dude. So I'm the dad of the dude. So I ain't never played soccer a day in my life.
Right.
But I'm gonna go out there, and so it was crazy because in the shirt, in the shorts, your boy looked legit. I ain't even gonna lie, Dips. You had me looking right.
You get that little jog.
You know what I'm saying? Got the chest bouncing a little bit. Your boy feeling good. Dog, 5 minutes into the match, your boy like, hey, be an option. I'm not going to encourage him, right? Because, dog, the front of my calf start cramping. But then when it comes to my son try to make a move on me, like, yo, Dad, where you at? I do this last minute, like, hold on, don't forget it. And I feel my hammy start to pull. So I realized in that moment, I look good. But when it came time to perform, I couldn't show up. And so, like, when you talked about performance, I think it's big because I had to change something about working out that you helped me to see is most of us, when we go to work out, it comes from a negative place. So when I teach my coaching clients, any new habit that you want to develop, it can't come from a negative. And what I mean by that is, people like use that negative energy for fuel. It'll work for a moment. But when people say like, oh, I want to work out because I'm just tired of being fat. I want to work out because I hate the way my clothes look. You're coming from a negative standpoint, so your mind, no matter if you're doing something positive, is going to associate it with a negative outcome. So what I started doing was, man, I'm going to work out because I want to be in the best shape of my life.
Right.
I want to work on my life. I want to work on myself. I want to work on my marriage because I'm tired of arguing, but because I want to have the best marriage possible. So that was me. So my come from had to be from a positive because the negative wasn't helping your boy out because I was getting so depressed from the negative.
Right.
I wasn't even working out and showing out for me. So we'll say this, and I'm gonna segue to the next bucket. If somebody's gonna come and create that habit, if you had to give us like a 1, 2, 3, somebody watching this right now, and like, yo, I want to start taking my life. They may not like where they're at. They may not like what they see. Give us something that's going to be able to allow somebody else to kind of take that and run with it, bro, so they can create that regimen.
What's step one?
Big vision, big bat dream. When you go to warm up to swing a baseball bat, you use 3 bats. You use a heavy bat. So big bat dream, something that'll really get you fired up and inspired before you go to the plate. Find some friends that'll go with you, or go start working out with someone that works out all the time, because then they're going to hold you accountable if you know that they're always going. A good one is the Apple Watch. We link up, and then those days where I'm like chilling, and then it's like, oh, Brandon Stokes just did a 10-mile run. I'm like, dang it.
Right.
I gotta get up and run. Those 2 things. And as far as the knowledge, I could say go get some more knowledge and learn, but we know what we gotta do to get in shape. You know what you gotta do. You know what you gotta do. Work out.
Control them
less
urges.
in.
Stop eating them donuts. You know what I'm saying?
So we know what we gotta do a lot of times. But you are gonna need some knowledge. Was one of the buckets we're gonna talk about. To hit those big goals, you're gonna need some knowledge, because we ain't trying to be average at all out here.
Nothing.
And nothing that you do. And I'll tell you this, when speaking on stages and traveling,
tiring.
Right, it's tiring, man. I'm on the airplane. We flying 23 hours. Yeah. You on your way to Africa. I'm on my way to London, and you're on your way. You just got back from Jordan. So us traveling internationally, like your body's taking all of this tension. I remember my boy Hop, man. Shout out to Hop.
Yes, sir.
He told me something. He said, man, I finally understand when Kevin Hart was like, health is wealth. Right. Because it sounds good, but you don't understand it. He was like, because if your body is breaking down, you don't even have the energy to generate the wealth that you need to generate for your life.
Facts.
Man, you got nothing without health.
You got nothing without health.
Zero.
And not only that, what was crazy, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Regrets.
100%.
Exactly.
the other thing was, if somebody says something, he says, man, listen, if you don't have, you say you don't have time to work out, and you talking about you going to travel the world and you're going to do all those things, if you don't have the ability to set aside time to take care of the only vessel that's going to take you around the world and give you the greatest opportunities of your life to experience the greatest love, then what are you setting your time for? Like, and that mess just challenged me. And then speaking on stage, when somebody sees your discipline, like you talked about, Dips, you can place a higher demand on yourself because somebody can say, okay, they're disciplined in what they're doing.
Right.
So I'm going to take them, you know.
Yeah.
Different.
Serious.
Yeah, I'm going to take them serious.
Yeah.
Speaking on stages is hard.
It's tiring because you're exerting so much
Your mouth
energy.
be dry, you be tired, you be
Bro, and I be
you
preaching at churches where they got your boy for 5 services. Like, man, you going back to back, hopping on
Right.
planes, flying over here.
Right.
And so, you know, you got to be able to do that. At conferences, you're speaking a couple times. So, you know, I appreciate that, Dips. I appreciate you
that's
doing
real.
it. And I pray that really does bless somebody with that mindset to keep going. So the first bucket was fitness. Okay, second bucket we gonna roll into Killer. I'm gonna launch this off with you. Is it talked about finances?
And let me hold something.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Finances. I ain't got it, dog. So the reason why I'm throwing this to you is because we all been broke.
Yes, sir.
All of us been broke. I'm talking like broke. We put money together, broke.
Top robbing in the sink.
Yeah, right. All of it like broke.
What you got on the Tampico?
Right,
I got $1 for the jug.
Pork rinds.
You ain't put in on this, you don't get a swing out of this. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't put no money in on this Tampico, you gonna be thirsty. Swallow your spit or something.
Real.
But okay, so we talking about finance. So we just talked about fitness being a bucket that we fill.
Yeah.
And we talking about finances. Out of the three of us, you were the first one to really like get the bag and then flip it and start doing those things. And then we came right after that as we started seeing those making moves and things like that. When we talk about filling the finance bucket, first thing is number one, what does that mean to you? And then number two, the second question I'm gonna throw your way is what stops people from being able to fill that finance bucket?
Ooh. So I'm gonna answer the second question first. And what prevents people is mindset. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
It comes down to mindset. I learned very early that it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you can keep.
Right.
Because if your mindset ain't right, you make $1, you're gonna spend $1. You made $100K, you're gonna spend $100K.
Right.
So that's the first thing. Your mindset has to be in a growth mindset, literally in a growth mindset. I had a job early in life, early 20s, honestly making more than I should have been making at that age. Yeah. You know, and I spent as much as I made for the first couple years. You can ask for it. We were in clubs, we had bottle service, clothes, you know, we had clothes every weekend, the biggest rims I could fit on the car. You know, so and then at the end of the year it didn't matter because you go to your tax guy, he's like, oh, you made X amount of money. And I'm checking my account like, I ain't got a quarter of that in the bank. I made how much? You know? So that's the first thing. You gotta learn to be able to manage what you have. And we kind of touched on it a little bit in fitness when we were talking about you get blessed with increments because if you can't manage that small increment, what makes you think you can get blessed with the abundance, right? So it took me a long time to learn that. And it took real life stuff happening, you know, car, dunzo, I need a new car. I ain't even got the money for the down payment, you know, and I'm in my 20s having to go to my dad. My dad's like, don't you make X amount of money? Why don't you have $5,000 saved up? You know, well, yeah, you kind of host me for the gas. Then you just get paid Friday. Today's Tuesday. Where's your money at? You know, so it's a lot of that stuff. So first is the mindset, and you have to realize that, you know, as you get older, your goals get bigger, and there's more that goes into it when it comes to wanting to own some stuff, have some stuff to your name. Whether it's, you know, maybe you don't want to own anything, maybe it's just investments, and even to drive the car you want to have is something called credit. That's important, right? That means we give you X amount up front, you got to pay it back, and if you don't pay it back, you're gonna have some issues when you try to go get the things you want in life. So there was a point where we were just reading a lot on finance, and just reading to get anything I can find on investments. Of course, there's the gurus, there's the Buffetts, there's the Grant Cardone, there's all these facts, there are these figures that it's public information. Yeah. It's public information. So that's what initially started it for me, was just realizing that my goals were bigger than my current situation, and having folks to look up to. It's important, I think, whether it's fitness, I think whether it's knowledge, whether it's finance, you have to find someone who's doing better than you in that area.
Way better.
Way better.
Way better.
Way better. Because if you surround yourself with the right people, they want to kick the knowledge down. You know, whether it's like, I have an 800 credit score, bro, you got a 500, let me show you how to get that up. You know, I owned a house at 23, I'm trying to get one, help me out. This is what you got to do. You got to do this. You got to set so much weight. And there's a lot of resources out there, too, that you can tap into when it comes to purchasing things and getting your credit up or whatever it may take. So I know we talked about the knowledge tying into the physical, the fitness.
Yeah.
It's the same with finances. It's the same with finances, bro.
So when you first got it, like when was the moment where you knew like, okay, I'm making some serious money right now?
We went to Vegas one time.
Ooh.
And
We gotta go
man,
to Vegas again.
we had a bro. I
Each level of money, you got to go back.
Man, so we were in Vegas, and it was me, Roy, in the section, a couple bros. Everybody else was folks I don't even know. We just had this big old section. I don't know how much we dropped in that section. And there was just bottles coming out, like bottles and champagne and food, stuff we don't even like. We just ordering it, right? Because at that point, you try to show out. You in your 20s, people eyes are on you, sparklers are coming out. And there was a point where, like, the GM was coming over, and he was like, he's the salesman. You know what he was doing. He's looking at me and Roy. He's like, 2 more bottles? Bring out 2 more bottles. Man, before we knew it, we must have had like 6, 7, 8 bottles. And we talking Vegas, bro. And when that check came at the end of the night, it was crazy because at first I was just praying the car went through. I was like, please don't get declined. Please don't get declined. But when it went through, I'm like, all right, cool. We go out to eat, we spend some more money. And I remember the next morning, it's time to go home, right? And it's that regret where, like, you praying to God if you check the bank account, like, and it was that moment where it was kind of like, all right, we cool. We can get home. We good. Yeah. So it shouldn't have been that moment. It should have been like what I could tell you, like, I was when I bought my first Apple stock. Or it was when I got a car financed on my own, and Pops didn't have to give me nothing for the down payment. But man, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was when we were in Vegas. It blew like $10K, and I slept all right that night. As ignorant as it sounds, that's really what it was.
Okay, so look, because I'm guiding this thing, right? I'm leading this ship.
Yeah.
And so as we're guiding this ship and kind of turning it, let me ask you this question, because we talked about filling buckets. And Dips, you can hop in on this one. We talked about what was needed to, like, what do you need? And you answered that like, yo, you need to be able to get that right mindset when it comes to wealth and money. And there's a lot of, especially in the minority communities, you don't see a lot of it being taught.
Yeah, we don't know how to manage money.
At all.
Yeah, we don't know how to manage money.
Like, I think I remember it was, and don't quote me exactly on this, but I think that I was looking at a article, and it was talking about how long money stays within our own community, and how we are for African Americans, for blacks, we are the biggest consumers that are out there.
Yeah, we probably hold on to money the shortest amount of time out of anyone.
Bruh, I heard that in Asian or the Jewish community, that same dollar will circle 20 times before it exits
The community.
their community. Ask me how many hands ours goes through.
I'm going to say 2, if that, 3.
1 to 2, and it's already in somebody else's somebody else's thing. So with that being said, you're not filling your bucket. You poking holes in your bucket. So talk on anybody who's watching, because it's not just black people. I mean, it's people or Hispanics or whatever, but it just happens to be prevalent within our community.
Sure.
That I wasn't taught credit.
Yeah.
So I paid cash for everything until, like, several years ago, your boy goes to go buy my house and my car, and my credit score, it ain't negative. I got a 0.
You got 0 credit.
Like, no. Y'all don't understand. Like, they were trying to scratch their heads. Like, what do we do with this? Because my boy got 0 because everything was cash. So,
But it's culture too, though, because we come from like this bankroll culture, right? We know how much folks got because they're constantly putting out their pocket. Like, you need $1, nephew? Let me flip these hundreds real quick and find.
Right.
You know, and that's
good old
like
mattress.
the good old mattress,
Bank of
right?
mattress.
Exactly. And then we think like doing something with our money is going down to Bank of America and putting in a savings account. That's not where your money's going to grow. You know, and the reality is that other cultures teach money to their children. The Jews do a fantastic job at it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The Asian communities do a fantastic job at it. They know money at such an early age. And I think we're so infatuated with trying to show what we have.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go and get the watch and I'm going to get the jewelry before I got the house. You know, I think Kanye said I went down to Jacob with 25,000 before I had a house, and I'd do it again.
Yeah.
You know, because
be on 106 in Park pushing the Benz.
You know, because it's like
Yeah.
we're so infatuated with the perception that other people have of us. So to keep it real, I think most folks would rather look like they have money opposed to actually having some money, because we're so caught up in like, I want to pull these bankrolls out my pocket and show you that I'm doing a little something, right? Dude, I've met millionaires that don't even have $1 in their wallet. You know, they don't have a single label on it. They got a Timex from Walmart on their wrist.
Right.
You know, so it's priorities with your money. And I think it's when you shift the mindset of, I need to stop working for money, make money work for me. Then you start researching and finding that bank accounts aren't the best vehicle for your money. You better get you some books on what an IRA is. You know, what a universal index life insurance policy is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, to mutual fund, if you want to play the market, cool. Stocks, investments, you know, we just came to the crypto era. But it's about making your money work for you. And an early lesson that I can share for everyone out there who says, I want to be able to make X amount of money. You got millionaire goals. People who've made six figures around the table can contest to this. The only way you get to that point is you have to find a way to make money while you're sleeping. That's it. The most successful people I know are selling something. You got to sell something, not 9 to 5, but around the clock. And that's how you make infinite amounts of money. You know, Roy could touch on that too, because this guy creates courses and you know, these people that have these businesses and stuff around the clock that make this money. That's how you get to that next notch.
So Dibs, I'm gonna ask you, bro. What is something that you feel like when we talking about filling the bucket? But right now, filling the bucket is the mindset. It's you selling something, selling yourself. Everybody's selling something. You're selling yourself. You're selling an article, something like that. But I really want to talk because poking holes in your bucket will stop you from filling your bucket. So what is something that you've noticed that people do, you know, that pokes holes in their financial bucket?
Well, I give you a story. When I was broke, I watched Kevin, is it Sturdivant? We saw him speak.
Yeah, Kevin Sturdivant at Like Minded.
He came to speak at Like Minded, and he talked about how he made $1 million, but he spent 1.1. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's good. I'm not doing that. So then when I got my first big client at literally wire transfers, $120K, I was like, yeah, I remember seeing Kevin speak. I still spent it all. I still spent it all. I was like, we balling out, we going here. It's like I made a lot that year, because that was one deal. That was one athlete that I was working with at the time. And then, you know, I got the car, and then I realized, because I really believe that lifestyle is more important than the actual money. Because once you learn about money, you realize once I learned about money, not only did I realize that I didn't have none, it's fake. So I got angry. I'm like, I ain't even got none of the fake stuff. It ain't. They just.
Wait, what do you mean when you say fake?
What backs it up? It's nothing. It's air. It's paper. I can tear it up. All they do is press a button. And then I realized I've never made $1 in my life. Nobody's ever made $1 in their life. The only people who can make money is the government. We take money. We exchange money.
Right.
And so that's when it hit me. Okay, I want this lifestyle. Okay, I got to figure out a way to create assets that brings me money without me having to do work, so that I can live the lifestyle that I want.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, okay, courses. That's a asset, because people, you can run an ad, you could do social media posts, people are buying it. Those other accounts you're talking about, those are assets because they're bringing you more money based on the money you put in, not like a savings account where you're actually losing money because of inflations and things of that sort. So an asset is you're creating this system inside of your bucket that constantly makes money, and then you can scale things. And I was explaining to Vic today when I was getting my haircut what scale means. If I have 5 barber chairs, I can only be there a certain amount of hours. But what is cool about the internet is you can scale things. You can figure out a way to run systems to where people can buy something from you and they can use it to where they can make money or whatever value they think has in it. And then you can scale that to infinity, to billions and billions of people. And what people don't realize is these assets are getting easier and easier to make. I believe millionaire is going to be the next middle class because there's still 4 billion people that aren't even on the internet.
Right.
And we don't never talk about that. And as those people come onto the internet, every last one of us could have our 1,000 people that follow us and are locked in on our products, and we're making millions of dollars. And then you just rock with Cam and put your stuff in the right place, and the annuity.
Right, the right vehicles are going to do something for you. Get you some interest.
Create the bucket so you can live the lifestyle that you want.
So you said something that was big, because I want to get to this last bucket and I want to honor that. But I got 2 pet peeves that I learned in my life that was massive. I love what you talked about. You said, man, most people, we want to floss, right? And we had something that we were going to talk about. It may be a future segment, but we talked about flossing over flourishing. And there's a big difference when you're flossing, and there's a difference when you're flourishing.
Absolutely.
And flossing is, I got all this stuff. You Gucci from your head to your toe. You got the Rolex on your arm. You got this big old car, but where you pulling up to is an apartment complex. Your priorities are off, right? And you said, man, you got people just trying to work to get the dollar, not understanding that it's an exchange. Business Secrets of the Bible. Rabbi Daniel Lapin, one of the best books. He talks about why the Jewish people are so blessed and what they teach, and how making money is actually a spiritual endeavor. And so one of the biggest pet peeves that I have for me personally was, and I was teaching this to a lot of my guys, is in the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, King Solomon, the richest man that's ever lived, he says, there is a time and a season for everything under the sun. He said there's a time and a season for everything under the sun. And when you understand how God works off of a rhythm. And when you understand the rhythm and the season that you're in your life, it's going to give you the opportunity and the ability to know what to say no to. And I feel like when it comes to finances, there's 3 different words. You have no, you have not now, and you have never. And if you don't know the difference between those words, you're going to get yourself caught up.
Right.
So when I say no to something, it's not saying never. When I say no to something, I'm just simply saying it's not my season right now. It's not now.
It's not a priority at this moment.
It's not a priority at this moment.
Yeah.
It's a not now. And so when you don't understand what rhythm and what season you're in, you're going to catch yourself trying to floss with somebody else, and it's not your season for that. It's not your rhythm for that. And prime example,
Boy, you preaching right now.
Bro, like a few years ago,
Yeah.
when I started off and I left, being on staff at a church, we were running a church, great sized church, phenomenal organization, thousands of people in this church. And I really was like, yo, look, I'm a pastorpreneur. Like, I'm a pastor on one side, but the entrepreneur inside of me is on another side. So I really got to find this flow. I remember specifically, like, my boy's like, yo, man, the market's going crazy. You got to buy a house right now. If you ain't got a house right now, you got to be able to do these things. And so I found myself getting like tense.
Yeah.
And then I had my boys like, yo, your NFTs and crypto's going crazy. And your boy was stressing out over, do I got any Bitcoin? Do I got, like, can I sell my son to be able to get, like, a Bored Ape? Like, and I remember this tension that I had. But then I realized, like, look, my season right now is I just want to stand on my own. Like, I'm leaving a corporate job to become an entrepreneur. I just want to make sure that my family's able to live. That was my season and the rhythm that I was in right now. I'm watching people, my boys pushing Benzes and G-Wagons. And one of my mentors, he's like a dad, he's like another father to me, just bought a private jet. And so I'm looking at that.
That's the big bag.
Right. And I'm looking at that, and I'm wondering
I can't
why.
wait for my season.
Bruh, like, right. So I'm looking at 35 like I'm a failure because your boy ain't got a private jet.
Right.
Not recognizing that it's not my season right now. And so when you understand rhythms and seasons, you know what to say no to. And you know what to say yes to.
I want to ask you this because I know we got one more bucket to cover, and for someone who coaches people out of some of their darkest moments in life, I think you'd be the perfect person to toss this bucket to. We've kind of been talking for years about on the topic of knowledge. You can take knowledge from so many different sources. It doesn't matter if it's the internet, doesn't matter if it's scripture in the Bible, anywhere, a book, right? Some of the best books we've read. But I think you would be great to touch on this because I've seen you acquire knowledge from so many different places. Now you're pouring it into other people.
Yeah.
But a major part of learning something, you can learn all you want.
Yeah.
You already know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
You got to be able to apply it.
Go in on it.
You got to apply it to your life.
Yeah.
So if you're reading all the scripture in the world, but you still out here wilding, you know, everything you're doing is contradictory to the word, you're not getting anywhere, right? You're wasting your time in that book because you're not taking those lessons and you're not applying it to your life, right? So Roy could teach us all the health stuff in the world. If I'm like, we can sit here for an hour and talk about health. If I go straight to the McDonald's drive-thru when we get out of here, what did I learn in that last hour? So talk about when someone is struggling from, I have all the knowledge. I have all the resources. You got Google. You got everything you need, right?
Yeah.
But how do we take that and apply it to our life? Because once you apply it, you're going to see the results.
Yeah.
But without application, there is no results. So what do you tell folks in those situations?
Bro, the biggest thing I've heard and I've learned is that information without application leads to no transformation.
Ooh.
Information, I'm going to say that one more time.
Without what?
Information without application.
You got to apply it. Right.
You got to apply it leads to no transformation. And so I've watched so many different of my clients who you know what to do, but I tell people to know and not to do is not to know. So if you know it and you're not doing it, then you don't know it.
You don't know it.
Because knowing goes beyond just a head knowledge. It's like you got to know it here. It's a knowing in your heart that I got to move. And the greatest thing that changes the game is, and I put it on my God morning post just yesterday. Everybody's like, God, I need a word. The word is execute.
Execute.
I'd repost that. I was fired, by the way.
But the word is execute. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you have it all, execute. It doesn't matter if it looks a certain way, execute. So what I was doing was I was spending $20, $25 on a book, $50 on certain books, and people would look at me and be like, yo, what you doing spending all that money on those books? And I tell them, because what took that dude 30 years to learn, I can learn in 1 week.
That is speed. The hidden gem in reading.
Knowledge is speed.
Yeah.
Bruh, like you expedite your life. So here I was speaking like a brother was like 60 years old. I was 21. I was on stages teaching cats. Look, I promise you, I was on stages teaching cats how to make millions of dollars. I would get off of the stage, and I didn't know they had a net 30 payout when you go speak at these places. And I'd be at the airport, and I'd be texting my boy like, "Hey, L, can you PayPal me $30? I don't have any money for my baggage." Why? Because knowledge expedited my journey. And so when I just applied it, the doors came open. And so I think so many of us think that there's a secret to success, or you think that there's a secret to it. As you continue to apply what you're reading and it's executing it. When we say executing, it means that you're actually putting it into practice. And you don't need another book. You need to execute what you first learned. Like people say, God, I want deeper revelation. God, like, what you do with the revelation I gave you?
Right.
So
do something with the last one.
Right. So I think that knowledge is an equalizer. And being knowledgeable in your craft of where you're at is going to change your game. But also what I tend to do is I'll pick up an article. I'll read an article on something that I probably am not going to be in that space or that field just right now. But I hold it. You know what I'm saying? I put it in the chamber, almost like when you supersize your meal. Right. You may not be hungry and kill it all off right then and there, but you know later on you're gonna be hungry, so you know it's in the bag, so I can go back and get it. Knowledge is that same way.
Right. That's important. I mean, I was making $30K a year, looking at $1 million homes on Zillow. You feel me?
Right.
Saving them like I'm about to go book a viewing.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, and then I'll say this lastly, man, it's you getting in the atmosphere. Uncle TD says it like this: if you're the smartest person in the room, you in the wrong room.
You need a new set of friends.
You need a new set of friends. If I'm the smartest person in the group because everybody's coming to me, I'm in the wrong group. You got to be willing to go to some place where you feel dumb. Yeah. Like I'm sitting at board meetings feeling like an idiot.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yo, we want you in here, Jeff."
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to them. I have no idea what they're talking about. And then all of a sudden they go, "Jeff, what you think?" And I just repeat what I heard. They said, "Man, that's smart. We need you in the next room." You know what I'm saying? Like, the Bible says even a fool is smart if he keeps his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah. Bars.
you know what I'm saying? So I think that was for me, and that's what allowed me, who had a strike, who had a felony, and nobody would hire me, to end up speaking and training presidents and Fortune 5 companies and doing that. The knowledge that I learned was borrowed knowledge until it became self-knowledge.
Real. That's deep. And then if nothing else, it's so important to realize that each bucket affects the other one. Right? Without knowledge, there is no finance. Without knowledge, you're not getting the best shape of your life, man. So hopefully y'all ran with that. Yeah. Got a couple gems from that. Real quick though, cause y'all ain't noticed.
Hey,
we got some
God morning.
Man, J.O., talk to him about these hats and where they can get one.
I'm stoked, man. It's one of my wife and I's companies, man. God morning. I tell everybody, if you see me, I don't just say good morning. I always say God morning,
Absolutely.
God morning. And the reason why is because when you start your morning off with a God morning, that means you set your priority right. And if God was the one who created my day, why would I not spend time with him?
Come on,
and so God morning is a way of life. And so when you wake up, it's not just a good morning, it's a God morning. And when you have a God morning, you're going to have a God type of day, God blessings, God favor. So wrote the God morning declaration, and then we got the hats, and this is just season 1 of it. Yeah, we rocking the different colorways and the sweaters. So be on the lookout. We're going to be doing that, man. One of the first official sponsors.
Yeah, I didn't have the hat on like 10 minutes. We were getting crazy comments.
Hey.
I reposted your Instagram post yesterday, was getting hits. Like, where can I get that hat at? That's too fire, blah, blah, blah.
Nah, man, I appreciate the love. So y'all stay tuned. But yo, listen, we want to honor this time as we come to a close.
Yes, sir.
We never want to end our podcast without giving them one jewel, one nugget that they can walk away with. So when we're talking about these buckets, finances, fitness, and
knowledge.
Thank you, bro. And knowledge, man. Give us one thing that you want them to walk away with as they hear this podcast.
Think bigger than your current situation. That's always the key in my book. What gets measured gets improved.
Love that.
You got $30,000 in your account. Figure out where you're spending that $30,000 when it's gone, and create new habits. And new habits create a new lifestyle.
Love that. Yeah. What up, dude?
Start, man. Whatever that is, finance, whatever.
Execute.
Execute, and you just gotta start, man. If you know, the time to start was a decade ago. That was the best time to start. But the second best time is right now.
Get to it.
And so, you know, I challenge you, just straight up. When you turn this off, are you just gonna be like, oh, good podcast, thanks for the inspiration, thanks for the quotes, or are you gonna get out your journal and start writing down what you're gonna do and how you're gonna apply that to your life?
Yeah, man, for real. Leave a comment on a goal. And I guarantee you, we'll hit you up and hold you accountable to it. We'll call you out. We'll call you out. Do that. Leave a comment. Let us know. What you got for him, J.O.?
Lastly, man, like I said, man, know your pace. And I think in all 3 of those buckets, you got to know your rhythm, where you are in your fitness. You may not have a 6-pack, but get going. You may not, you know, in finance, you may not be where you want to be. Understand the pace of where you're at so you know what to say no to, know what to say yes to. And then lastly, your knowledge, man. Understand your pace and the rhythm of where you are in your life. And as you do that, you're going to log in. And so with that being said, man, we want to appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Bros to Men podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Bros to Men podcast. We're on all platforms now. Apple, we're on Spotify.
And leave some comments. Let us know what y'all think, what you guys want to hear us talk about. And whatever y'all doing out there, make sure you're growing in the process.
Let's go, man.
Loving
God morning.
Hey.